other schools over there who say they can support kids with special needs, but they clearly don't have that support like they claim they do.
And not only claim, they're doing, bless them, what they can, because when you're in a difficult situation, you offer services according to what you have. But Life Life Center is offering a center similar to what we have here. You have a speech therapist on site. We have a occupational therapist on site. You have exceptional team, young team there that we train them to the level that they can now be independent. So it's also a bringing up next professionals in the country.
And that's it. Of course, if we can start even training more professionals over there as well, that can then help schools further down the line. It's almost like you're knocking, I believe that's the saying would go, and I hate my sayings. It's like helping knock the first domino over.
Indeed.
Now, so one of the things I want to, of course, is we can have a chat about some of the services that we do have in Leicester, because there may be parents listening who might not know what's actively out there.
Indeed, that's what this program is all about.
Exactly, that's why we're here today. So if any of you listening or want to be a bit curious, please stay tuned, because you'll get to learn about just some of the things that exist in Leicester right now. And actually, that will bring me into our first guest. She's ready to come in. I want to introduce a lady called Natalie. She is the digital health practitioner and public health nurse. And she works in the digital development team and specialist autism service. And she particularly focuses on the chat autism text line. Now, Natalie, are you with us today? How are you? Hiya. How have you been since I last saw you? That would be the 28th of February, right?
Yes, it's not that long ago. We had a great day at that event. I'm good, thank you.
Good. So yeah, no, I just thought, like I say, one of the things we mentioned is if you'd like to talk a bit about the history of chat autism, maybe what inspired you to get it up and running first, and tell listeners who won't know what it's about.
So, Chat Autism was set up in response to significant health inequalities experienced by autistic people and their communities. It was developed jointly with the Leicestershire Partnership Trust, the Leicester City Council, and the Learning Disability and Autism Collaborative. I don't know if anyone's heard of the chat health text messaging model, but it's based upon that model that was previously already developed by Leicestershire Partnership Trust. But Chat Autism is the UK's first text-based autism advice service.
Oh, wow.
Chat Autism is a service that provides a safe and easy way to send a text message to a healthcare professional and get confidential help and advice about anything autism related. The service, unfortunately, is only open to people living in Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland.
Well, I do remember that one of the upsides when I first ever heard about it, if I remember, is compared to some other services, is that you don't need a formal diagnosis in Leicestershire to access it, do you?
No, that's correct. So everyone and anyone who's got any questions or concerns about anything related to autism can access the service. And what's great is open at 9 to 5 every weekday, excluding bank holidays. We're even opening the school holidays too. And even at the weekends, you still get a bounce back message. But we do guarantee that we get back to everyone within 24 hours, Monday to Friday.
Yeah, because I remember, like I said, when you brought it up on the 28th, and that was such a good point. The fact that, you within the next day, you have someone that can talk to you. Because, of course, I know there'll be a lot of parents out there who won't know about this, who maybe need to know where's the right place to go, what do I do if I'm trying to pursue a diagnosis. So the fact that you now exist, I mean, how long has Chat Autism been running? Is it 2022 it started?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. So gradually, we are increasing the amount of text conversations that we get and the types of messages. Because it's an all-age service, we previously had like the highest demographic was in young people under 40, or questions about young people under 14, but now this is like evened out to more equal amounts to under 14 to over 14. I guess the type of messages that people are inquiring about differ.
I was going to say, and that's fantastic because, of course, when you're looking at under 14, that's more of a school thing. And I can imagine now it'd be really handy that schools will be able to start telling parents as well that if there's any questions that they want to ask, that there's a place where they can do so. Because, again, we'll always need to be able to do more things like teacher training and that with schools. But just having that line for parents, I can imagine, makes such a big difference to everybody.
I think like the type of messages that we receive from the people asking questions about under 14s also highlights the need and a positive impact, as well as potentially reducing the burden or escalation on other services, because we have a lot of questions for the younger people with regards to about assessments, general information and understanding behaviour.
Yes, so I was just going to add something in there. And so, of course, even imagine, do you get a lot of questions maybe about people trying to pursue diagnoses from adults? Because I know a lot of adults are always a bit worried about whether they should pursue a diagnosis or not. I imagine you might get a text or two about that.
Yeah, I would say that for the adult population, the most common is with regards to assessment, reasonable adjustments, maybe in community and in the workplace.
And again, it's so fantastic that you're able to do that now. Because I mean, I always think to when I was first diagnosed in 2009, or when I was first made aware of it, and just stuff like this just didn't even exist. So see how far we come, and that was 15 years ago. I mean, of course, you started 2 years before, so in 13 years to evolve so far, I think is absolutely amazing.
Can you remind our listeners the number they need to call if they want to be participating in this program live?
Don't forget, to all of you listeners, if you do want to pipe in with any questions while I'm on here with you, do not forget to either pop us a call on our studio line, which is 0116 482 2086, or if you just want to pop us a message on WhatsApp, it's 07748 855 055. Now, of course, Hashim, just to get back to you. So, of course, when did you first find out about chat autism? Because I got to find out recently.
Well, I'm lucky ones because when it was being designed, I was one of the people in the community that's been consulted, and ever since I was following and signposting to the parents who might not know, and also the young autistic adults. So this is really a very good. Well thought, and I believe, as Natalie mentioned, is in this first in the country. So Leicestershire is leading United Kingdom. Unless we're proven wrong, we can claim that first service. And for all of you who are listening, us from elsewhere, it's just the Leicestershire services. If you are resident in Leicestershire, and Rutland, it is LLR. How we can say Leicestershire and Rutland. Yes. And this is only for those. One question that I have for Natalie: if I'm a parent and I'm worried about sleepless nights and hyperactivity, and I put a question in the chat box, how soon I should expect a reply from a professional who will be advising me on that issue?
So I didn't say the text number online, but I can do. So the text number is 0731 2277097 to start a chat with a professional. Like I said, we aim to get back to everyone within 24 hours. With regards to that particular issue, regardless if you're within LLR or not, you can also access Autism Space, which is our website, a dedicated area on the Leicestershire Partnership Trust website, providing information about autism for everyone. And this includes autistic people, parents, carers, and allies. It also acts as a signpost for us to use for our service users so they can refer back to. We have loads of information on there with regards to sleep if that person who's messaging wants to have a look.
Thank you. I believe we also have later on Esther Vickers.
Yes, I know she's going to be talking a lot more about Autism Space. So of course, that's a bit more recent. But again, as we were saying, Natalie, earlier, 'cause I know it is only Leicestershire, and I think Hashim brought it up, this is still the first one across the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Again,
Hopefully, we are getting lots of other areas contacting us about chat autism and how they can develop in their own area, because the chat health model is available. So hopefully we'll see over the next couple of years more areas developing the service.
again, that's absolutely fantastic. And for those of you who didn't catch it earlier, if you did want to use the text line, it's 07312 277 097.
And we request the producers to put on somewhere on the screen if Natalie can put that on in there as well. So I will share also with the producers to put it on. One question I have is young adults, as you said, diagnosed or none, can they still? Because what I find out is that young people nowadays, they lack more than talking, texting. So can they benefit this over 14 or when they are 16 and above to share with the professionals their questions, Natalie?
Yeah, yes, that's be great. The service is confidential, so that we can always communicate with them by text, which a lot of young people prefer. So with the service being confidential, unless the person answering the message is worried about the young person or someone else's safety, or they've shared some information which may be concerning or put someone else is at risk or danger, the anonymity of the service remains. And this would help encourage those that would not normally access support to do in a safe way.
Thank you. Dylan, can you remind us today what we're talking about chat?
So of course we're talking about
Those who just joined us.
Services. Yes, so for those of you who may have just tuned in now, I've already had a couple of texts on my end, people saying, hey, we've tuned in. So thank you to those people who've messaged me. So of course, if you're first time listening, we're talking about autism services that exist in Leicester. So we've just been talking with Natalie about chat autism. And of course, if you do ever want to get in touch, if you're looking for that kind of support, the best way to do so is to use the chat autism number. It's 07312 277 097. And of course, if you have any calls you want to give on to me while I'm on the radio, you can call us at the studio at 0116 482 2086 or send a message to us on WhatsApp at 07748 855 055. Now, of course, chat autism is just one of the amazing services that we've got existing at the moment. And you actually bridged on it earlier, Natalie, as well. If we could start the bridge into the conversation about the biggest project that is Autism Space. So for those of you who don't know, I think Natalie's no longer with us. So Autism Space is a website that's been introduced, and we're waiting for our guest to go into more detail, but I'll just summarize it for you now, and I'll give the link for it over the radio waves. So it's like this kind of hub that exists for, like, if you want to learn more about autism, where you need to go, if you want to know what services exist out there, if you're looking for help with finances, what benefits exist, help with employment, and also learn about the experiences of other people in Leicestershire. So I'll just say what it is right now. I'll give you the address for it here. It's www.leispart, that's spelled leispart.nhs.uk. Oh, we've just had a message come in. So we've just had a message come through about chat autism, and someone's wanted to just put a message saying, love the idea of the chat service. Useful when the situation becomes urgent and there is no GP available to support. I completely agree with you.
That's exactly what's been meant to do. And sometimes parents like me who get frustrated time to time, it is important that they have such service that is there for them, and have the ability to have access constantly to experts and professionals in NHS different, and when you put that question into the chat box, it will go to, specifically to expert that is exactly will be answering to you.
Well, it's a direct link to someone in the specialist autism team for Leicestershire's Partnership Trust.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes. Thank you,
Yes, we lost you a minute. We couldn't hear you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, because you mentioned it earlier, I've just done a very quick summation and I've just said what the link to the website would be. But of course, I know we should be having a guest joining us soon. But if you wanted to talk a little bit more about Autism Space, because I know it's even more recent than Chat Autism.
Yeah, so Autism Space is been developed alongside Chat Autism. I've heard that you've just given out the web address, but this provides ongoing information for everyone about autism. So maybe people don't want to use the text messaging, or maybe they can't. So this is a great way to help people navigate information in a safe way. We also have the Reach Deck facility, which I don't know if we know what that is, but it helps you navigate the content and interact with the website independently. So you can click on the speak button. At the
I see it on my phone right now. I've got
Yeah.
it put up here. So I'm just seeing like a little stick figure in an orange circle.
Yeah, and this launches the Reach Deck toolbar at the bottom of the screen, and from that you can choose either to hover and speak, play text to speak, and it reads the text out for you. It translates into, I think, 100 languages. It's also got a picture dictionary, the screen mask, text magnify, and also you can simplify language. So it's a really, really useful tool for people that aren't able to use the text message. And also maybe they call one day with regards to information asking about behaviour, and then they don't implement things straight away and need to refer back to information rather than text again, which of course they can do. They can refer to articles on the website and use that as a reminder.
Just to let you know, I'm also your helper. Esther couldn't make it today because she has got a pressing issue to deal with. So we will be exploring more with Natalie today.
Oh, I'm sorry that Esther couldn't make it, and I hope she'll be able to be better soon. But one of the things, I'm just actually looking, of course, through the website as we're talking. I've just seen the fact that you've you've even given ideas for other helpful websites and even books, I noticed. If you go on the All About Autism section, and of course you've covered other things like education, employment, and beyond diagnosis. And again, I just keep thinking back to when I was made aware of my diagnosis, and there just wasn't something like this. So I suppose I will ask you the same question like I did at the beginning when we spoke about Chat Autism, was what was the motivation to get this up and running?
Well, it does work alongside the text messaging service, like I said, but the motivation is just to get more information out to more people in different, an accessible way.
And so for those of you who are listening who don't know much about this, if you've just listened in, if you were looking for help with sorting out an education and care assessment plan, of course that's on there. That's on the link under Beyond Diagnosis, I think, if I saw that correctly.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And again, it gives you links to the autism outreach team. It gives you links to to extra advice for SEND. just the fact that all of this stuff is in one place, like I just think it's absolutely fantastic. And of course, I mean, not to toot my own horn here, but I know you'll know a bit about this, of course, is that I like the fact there's a local talent section as well.
Yes, we've the website has been like built around with experts by experience, and we do. My colleague Emma meets regularly to make sure that we're writing content that is still appropriate and what people want to see.
And like I say, for those of you who just want to know if someone's up, if you just want to check out the website, it's www.lexpart, so LEICS for Leicestershire, part.nhs.uk/autism-space. So that's with the link to the Autism Space website. I was going to say, Hashim, so when Autism Space properly came out, like what was when you first saw it? What was maybe your highlight when you first looked at it?
One of the things I wish when my son, who's 23 years old, first time these services were around, it's one thing that I invite first. I was excited first and still learning about, and whenever it become my reference point of view to go back and to get more, because nowadays there are a lot of misinformation about autism, and the only way we combat that misinformation is to put out there the right information, and that's something that I've really I'm very grateful to people who thought of these two services that are wonderful, especially the website. And one thing that I say is, as a parent, it is important that we educate ourselves, because you are the best on your child's situation, and you are the expert in that. So if you combine that and share that knowledge with the service providers, and you ask the right questions the right time. So this is education for us, so that you cannot miss anything, because you are 24/7 on call with that child at home, and you're the one who can learn how to de-escalate if there is a situation. All that, if you go into you, I know that some of us don't have a lot of time, but the website is so designed that you can go pinpoint to what it is that you want. The right questions are there. So I'm grateful, Natalie, that these services were thought of.
And there's one thing that I've just tuned in here that I particularly like. One of the things that, of course, were mentioned is that a lot of parents sometimes feel very alone.
Indeed.
And they really do have the difficulties. And I think when you have a lot of events run by other charities, there's always some fantastic events, but it's actually how does the knowledge of that get to you? So I really like the fact that mentioning things that like the Autism Friendly Swimming that I think is run by the LS and Spectrum. There's like the football clubs that are supported for autistic players, and it's got links to all of those. So it's not even just as a guide for support for you. It's even to help you out for like social clubs, things like that as well. So if parents do want to, I suppose, try and get their child actually involved in social activities, and I'm a big fan of that.
Thank you very much, really. And I invite all the listeners out there not to be shy. Yeah, I know that they're texting, but also they can be on the radio live.
Yes, of course. So again, if you did want to call in, don't forget our number is 0116 482 2086, or you can pop us a message on WhatsApp at 07748 855 055. And like I say, it's not even just activities. Of course, there's other groups that may be able to have a more directive way of helping, like, say, Spectrum or LAS, or like the Charnwood Autism Support Group. And if you don't know where to look, it's the fact that you now have that information all in one place. Again, all I can say is thank you, Natalie, because I know the fact that your team it's quite a small team. The fact that you've done so much work with both Chat Autism and with this. Like, I mean, I know I can safely say, even every time I meet your team, I can safely commend what you've done. And I know everyone who I've worked with, when they hear about both Chat Autism and Autism Space, they're just really impressed constantly.
And
Thank you.
And tell us, I think there is a team like you that are there to help. Listeners who don't have a much of because they texting only. Can you tell us more about the organization behind it, the Chat Autism?
So, Chat Autism is mainly managed by myself and Emma, and I don't think she'll mind me saying that we both have a family interest in neurodiversity, which is probably in both our situations driven us to work in this role. I think Dylan said at the beginning, my background's in health visiting. Emma's background is in speech and language therapy. And then we are also supported with the specialist autism team. They help us man the line as well. And that is a complete multidisciplinary service. So all everyone's experience helps really shape the messages.
Thank you very much, really. One of the ways, and I touched that upon, is a 16 years old. Sometimes they cannot figure out when they are down or things like that. It is. I have seen in my own eyes young people who use it. So I really commend again and for the service. This good for Leicestershire and Leicester and Rutland for people. We're lucky. We're lucky to be living in this region to have this service.
We absolutely are. And of course, one of the things I do love about the autism space is the fact you're constantly regularly meeting to update it. So
yes, we so we're always adding articles. We're always trying to write content and develop the website. And we've also recently had Sandra join the team, and she does now a lot of infographics on the website just to make it a bit more user friendly. And then these are also put on the social media pages as well. We hope to be doing more of those infographics as we write articles. It's definitely something we want to do for the future.
No, it makes sense because, of course, I imagine they can help with like easy read as well. So, like when they need to have for documents like that. Again, it's just so weird to think that it's how new it is as well. Because, of course, I remember the first time I was hearing about it was just before it came out, and that was a year ago, I think.
It's always developing, and we hopefully, because it's getting quite big, hopefully, we're going to be able to separate some of the topics into like separate health and lifestyle and more the like education. That's also quite a big area now, so we're going to break that down just to make it more accessible. Yeah, hopefully the more people talk about it, the more active people will be on the website, and we'll know more where the content needs to be written, what's missing, and develop more for the future.
And again, there's one thing I do particularly like, and you brushed on it earlier. And of course, this is where I know a bit more about it. Is that you're not just asking for updates, but you're also talking to a lot of lived experience people in terms of not just parents but autistic people themselves about what they feel they could do. That's why our local talent got involved as part of the page.
That's right. Yeah. So like to make sure that we're writing things that are current, or like what people want to know about, or if often it can be just what people have told us has worked, that we can write in collaboration with experts by experience to share more information.
That's perfect. And again, for those of you who've just tuned in, we've been talking about chat autism and autism space. So if you or anyone who's 14 and older, if you wanted to learn about what's out there in terms of trying to find out what exists for support in getting a diagnosis or just asking questions, and you want to talk to someone in the specialist autism team, you can use the Chat Autism text line, which is 07312 277 097. Now, of course, that is just in Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. And of course, if you're looking in terms of a wider range of resources, then you can use the website that is Autism Space, which you can access via the website www.lespart, spelled LEICSPART.nhs.uk/autism-space. So, of course, if any of you who have just tuned in now wanted to find out more about what could be put in to support your child or friend or a sibling, or if you're autistic yourself and you're wanting to learn more about what's out there in terms of social events or just support package for like employment, they're the best places to go to in Leicester. Now, I just want to say to Hashim, of course, while you're here, still here, Natalie, of course, we were just mentioning earlier how this is so new for Leicestershire. It's not really around anywhere else.
Indeed, and this is it's not only ourselves patting our backs and say, hurrah, we are the first, but it is indeed one of thoughtful services that combined, as Natalie was saying, from LBT, Leicester Partnership Trust, and Leicester City Council and County Council, I believe. They come together and do this amazing resource for their residents, and it is something that I hope elsewhere in the United Kingdom people can copy, and the blueprint Natalie is here to give them if those authorities want to start. But what is also more important, wherever you are in the world, you can access that website space, and I can't think more, or I can't find right words to praise it, because one thing that's always good, because the amount of misinformation that people have, especially in ethnic minorities and are difficult. For example, people will come to you and say to you, no, your child has been possessed, or whatever it is they think, and that is something that if you're a vulnerable parent you will think, okay, let's do it what they say, and that's wasting a lot of time, and sometimes it's harmful to the child what they are suggesting. And there are also unproven stuff that people who are getting into this as commercial and trying to drive the child, the parent who's desperate. For example, one thing that and we touched upon yesterday, remember, autism is not illness, it's a condition. So if you firmly believe that from the start, what you're trying to do is to help your child the best way they can. And it's a spectrum as well, as you said many times, Dylan. If you meet one person with autism, you just met with one person, you don't know others. And what I'm saying to the parents here is, I see very desperate parents who go travel abroad and try to bone marrow things that are really, if you see scientifically, nothing to do with autism. But they're desperate. When you're a desperate parent and somebody give you false hope, you follow it. Coming back to the subject then, in autism space and autism chat, you will get exact right information. There is no misinformation. This is proven. This is NHS, and we are very, very lucky to have these resources here in the United Kingdom, and having dedicated people like Natalie there to help us is fabulous. So that's my point, and to all listeners to think that way. Especially, I'm appealing to the parents of young autistic children, because everybody will come to your advisor. Please take the advice from the real professionals who know their stuff, like Chat Autism and Autism Space.
And it goes back to what you were saying, again, as I always say, if you've met one person with autism, you've only met one person with autism. And of course, because the way we're affected is so different, there'll be certain coping strategies and things that work for some people that actually won't work for others at all. So sometimes people might only have a small idea of where to get that information. And of course, if those techniques don't work, I must imagine you might have parents suddenly going, well, if that doesn't work, what do I do? So the idea of having one space where actually they can look at multiple strategies, where it's all in one place, instead of just looking in one or two websites that might have an idea that works with some kids, having everything in one place is just far more effective, because they can be like, okay, this strategy doesn't really work with them. Let's see if this strategy that also we can see has proven effectability can then be put into place. You're not just suddenly thinking, oh no, we can't do this, it's not working. You've got the information still there regardless. And of course, you're saying, Natalie, when it comes to chat autism, I can't wait to find out when it goes beyond Leicestershire, because we've got listeners that'll be not just from Leicester and Leicestershire, they'll be way beyond. So I can imagine that one day they're probably wondering when they can get to use a service like Chat Autism.
It comes to the resources. So Leicestershire, it's difficult. But in compense, the website is you can access wherever.
That's the perfect part. Even though Chat Autism is still Leicestershire, and I know it will get bigger. I have faith it will. For those of you who can't, of course, the Autism Space website you can access, and everything is there. And when I say everything, I've looked at articles I never would have thought to have even checked out myself. And I mean, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, like giving advice to people. And there are still things that I learn every day. But to have one place where it's regularly updated and you know it's safe to go to, because you know there's no misinformation, like you were saying. Misinformation is such a problem I know still exists today.
Indeed, and people who will say, I will speak your child within 2 months, and then put you in difficult things, and there are a lot of people who are conning parents like me, and this is something that I am really against. Always get the right information. Please educate yourself. I know that Natalie is very busy person. Let's use for the last minutes with her, and then when she wants to go, she might go.
Well, we don't have much left of the show, actually. We've only got 2.5 minutes. But one of the things I did want to say, and again, thank you, Natalie, for coming on. But of course, just to compare it to, like I said, what you were saying about how we have the Lifeline Centre. So the Lifeline Centres are doing so well. Of course, when we were talking about how we're actually over there at the time, especially with Ishmael's diagnosis, just this idea of a text line that just isn't, that kind of support just isn't there. So for those of you who have been tuning in, by the way, do not forget we are raising money for the Lifeline Centre. So if you can, if you do want to make a pledge, so it's £25 to help someone out a month to get them to and from the centre, £60 to help for one brick at a time to actually then they can buy the Lifeline Centre off them. This is for autistic children in Somalia, by the way, who need that extra support for like speech and language therapy and support with education, things that otherwise they just wouldn't have access to. And of course, for any orphans out there, it's £130 a month to sponsor them, or £600 for the full year. So if you are interested in making a pledge or a donation, do get in touch with us by either calling us at 0116 482 2086 or sending us a message on WhatsApp at 07748 855 055. Now, we are going to be coming up towards the end of the show, so the first thing I want to say, mainly, is just because I want to give a quick summary, is first off, thank you, Natalie, for taking the time to join us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
It's been so insightful, and again, I can't wait to see how things keep moving forward, because this is so amazing. And again, the fact that these have both got introduced in the last 2 years, so I think people really need to understand that when I say this is new, this is relatively, really new. And so,
hopefully, from doing this, we'll have even more people visit the websites and messages.
And that's it. And then, of course, for people who are listening, who, if you can remember the details, make sure you can get in touch as well. If you need the link, like I say, I'll say the number one more time for Chat Autism, and which, of course, is 07312 277 097. Of course, that is Leicestershire alone. If you want to access the Autism Space website, it's www.lespart, so LEICSPART.nhs.uk/autism-space if you're going worldwide and want that support.
And thank you, Natalie, for being with us today. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Again, thank you.